everyone. We're going to go ahead and get started. We'll just kind of introduce ourselves while more people are joining. So we have 4 of us here that are all teachers at TMSA. And I'll let the other ladies introduce myself. My name is Janine Sevilla. I taught kindergarten for 7 years here at TMSA. And you guys, oh my, I'm going to let somebody take over.
Hi, okay, I will continue. I hear that you are at school and have an announcement, apparently. My name is Gretchen Warren. This is my 4th year and 4th year at TMSA and 4th year teaching kindergarten. I have worked with both of these ladies that are in here, Mrs. Sevilla and Mrs. Branch, who you'll meet next. And then we also have another teacher with us that started this year on our team. Hopefully she can introduce herself too. But I have 2 kids, one in 2nd grade at TMSA and one in kindergarten actually this year at TMSA. And I look forward to meeting you all soon.
Hello all, my name is Ms. Branch. Like Mrs. Morin said, I am also a kindergarten teacher at TMSA. I taught 1st grade previous to teaching kindergarten at TMSA, and I've been at TMSA now for 5 years. How many more times can I say TMSA? Thank you for being here, and I hope you enjoy our little presentation and ask questions in the chat along the way if you have any. Nice to see you all.
Sorry, so I'm at school and they were just announcing that some of the people had come here in person and they were announcing that we are only having this on Zoom. So that was the announcement that you heard. So they're telling everybody to go back into their cars and go ahead and click the link. So we're going to share with you a little bit about what TMSA at or kindergarten at TMSA is like. We have the chat open, so you guys, it's a webinar form, so you guys are free to ask questions in the chat. We'll try and answer them, and then at the end, we'll do a big Q&A session, try and hit all your questions along the way. So hopefully we'll get to it in our presentation if you have a question, but if not, go ahead and drop it in the chat, and we'll try and answer those as we go as well.
Real quick, before you start, Mrs. Sevilla, Miss Cook is in here. She just, I guess, was not made a host, and we don't have that privilege to go ahead and make her a host. But Miss Cook, I'm going to try to allow you to talk. I think I can hit that and just let you do a quick introduction, even though we can't see you. All right, let me try.
Hey everyone, so sorry for technical difficulties. My name is Miss Cook. I have been teaching for about 13 years in preschool, and this is my 1st year at TMSA and my 1st year teaching kindergarten. So I'm excited to continue my journey both in the kindergarten classroom and with TMSA.
Thank you, Mrs. Cook. All right, let's go ahead and get started with our presentation. Again, we'll try and, nope. Sorry, wrong button. So this is just a general information about what the 2022-23 school year will look like. Nothing that we say today is in stone. As you're going to hear throughout the presentation, we have another campus opening. So there's a lot of movement and different things that we're still trying to figure out. So this is just to kind of give you an overview of what kindergarten at TMSA looks like. Again, trying to answer some questions along the way, but this is probably, but again, not set in stone what we're going to be looking like next year. So, as I said, we will have 2 campuses next year. There will be TMSA Cary, which is where we are right now. And then there will also be a TMSA Apex. TMSA Apex next year will be opening for the 2022-2023 school year. We will have a K-5 building. And there will be more information about TMSA Apex later this spring. If you check on our website, you can actually go to the TMSA website, Apex from there as well, and find out more information. And they'll have their own information night once that all gets set. If you would like to, you can apply to both TMSA Cary and TMSA Apex. You have to do separate applications. So go to our website for ours and then click over to the Apex one for theirs. When you do that, the biggast question is that we're having is that if you use one email for TMSA Carry, you have to choose a different email to use for TMSA Apex. It has to be two separate accounts when you apply. So like for me, if I was applying, I might apply for one and have my husband's email apply for the other. That will get you on the lottery for wherever you apply. So if you apply to TMSA Carry, you will be on the lottery just for TMSA Carry or TMSA Apex, but you can do both, but you have to do two separate applications, okay? So that's all the information about where to apply. The lottery, I've already seen a question about that. We pick the lottery on February 14th. The people that get in will receive an email on February 15th. This is for both campuses. The last day to apply is February 10th. So you want to apply for either campus by February 10th, and then we will get the results to you through email on if your child gets in or if they are placed on the waiting list, and you'll find out what number they are placed on the waiting list. For next year, both campuses are planning on having 5 kindergarten classes. There's going to be about 20 kids in each class with a teacher assistant. Again, this is the plan as of now, knowing the new building is just being built. We'll see exactly how many we get in, but the plan of now is to have 5 kindergarten classes with 20 kids in each class. So that's about 100 students at each campus. Mrs. Moore, would you like to go through a typical day in kindergarten?
Sure. This is just a kind of schedule that we have up here, what our day kind of looks like. This is, again, is not set in stone. It changes from year to year. But generally when the students come in, we have morning work that will start independently. We'll do our calendar, our morning meeting where we just kind of see how everybody is. We do some check-ins. We usually do a fun activity and a share. We like to share pows and wows, things that are great and not so great. And then we usually break off into reading groups. We do guided reading and small group reading. We do small groups for both reading and math. So there's a whole group instruction, and then there's also a small group instruction for both reading and math, so that we can kind of personalize and kind of see like where your child is and work with them on what they need. And then we also have some science and social studies time. We usually try to incorporate whatever we're doing in reading and math into our science and social studies. Writing time, specials. We have 5 specials. They are PE, computers, art, music, and STEM. Your child will go to one of those classes every day. So like right now, today is Tuesday, so we have music on Tuesday. So my class goes to music on Tuesdays, but one of the other kindergarten classes goes to like art every Tuesday, and the other one might go to music or to STEM every Tuesday. But it just changes daily, but that special schedule will be the schedule throughout the year. We have 2 recesses. One usually in the morning and then another one in the afternoon. Kindergarten is the only one that has, the only grade that has 2 recesses. So we get a little lucky with, or kind of lucky with that. And it works out because if you know 5- and 6-year-olds, we do need to move around a lot. And then after our second recess will come in, we usually do some kind of center or winding down activity, and then we'll get ready to pack up and go home. All right, so staggered entry. So at TMSA, we do something called staggered entry. So the first week of school, when every other class starts, or the rest of the school starts, we assign your student a day. It usually goes by your last name. So like A through D might come on the first day of school. And then we'll just keep going down the alphabet. Your student only needs to come in that first week or those first couple days on the day that they are assigned, because we will just be doing the same thing with each group that comes in. We kind of get to know them. We like to do it in a small group so that we can really kinds of get to know each of the students that are coming into kindergarten. They will visit all three, well, it's been in previously all three teachers. I guess next year we'll figure out the schedule for 5. But they'll get to meet with all the teachers. We'll get to meet with them. We'll talk to them. We'll kind of see what they're like. We'll give them some general assessments. And then at the end of each day, we'll kind of sit down and start placing your student in one of the classes. And then at the end of that week, you'll receive an email with your child's placement once we've met all the students in Staggered Entry. So it's a little bit different, but I hope that gives you kind of a better view. It kind of eases them into kindergarten as well. I know it's a little nerve-wracking coming into a new school and having all the other students there. So we kind of do it this way, and it kind of lets them, you know, kind of lean in a little bit so that they're not thrown in right away with, you know, 60 or 100 kids right away. Back to you, Mrs. Sevilla.
I saw this question a lot in the chat, is how we differ from Wake County schools. So we are a charter school. We currently have 4 schools in our charter, 3 soon to be 4 with our new TMSA Apex. There's one in Greensboro, one in Charlotte, one in Cary, and one in Apex. So what that means is we do not follow Wake County guidelines. We follow North Carolina guidelines. So as a charter, North Carolina has a set of standards that we have to follow. We have to teach. Wake County does, every county does, every charter does, every magnet school does. So we have to follow those. So we follow, basically think of it like we follow North Carolina, not the Wake County system, okay? Even though we're located in Wake County, as a charter, you follow North Carolina. We have our own school board that meets for our school and makes the decisions for us about different things going on, all the COVID rules and things that we've been doing. And then we have a central office as well. And so that central office is the one who does more of the day-to-day. The board will do more of the overall. So it is great because it does allow for kind of a more personal atmosphere, personal investment in our school because we are smaller and we don't have as many schools in our district. We do offer buses, but it is additional cost to parents. So the school has a set price that you pay at the beginning of the year if you would like your child to choose the bus. The routes are on our TMSA website, so if you'd like to see where the pickup is, and it differs in that it doesn't come to neighborhoods, it goes to a central location. So the bus will go to like a Harris Teeter parking lot. You will drive to the Harris Teeter. It will pick up about 20 kids at that Harris Teeter, and then it will go to another spot. And you can see the routes on our website again, and it is an additional cost. You can also choose carpool. We have lots of carpool, so that's a kind of a bit different. So again, we follow the same standards. Think of it like we're under the umbrella of North Carolina rather than a Wake County umbrella. I think this is this one. I'll keep going through questions.
Perfect. Classwork and homework. So classwork students are expected to be able to sit down and write. It is, you know, if your child's been to preschool, that's great. But it is more rigorous than preschool was. For homework, we only do like a weekly homework sheet that's given out. We have a math sheet that's given out in the beginning of the week, and students just have to complete like one short line every night for that, and then we collect it back on Friday. Students are also given a monthly reading log. We do encourage nightly reading with your students, either reading to them and asking them questions about what you're reading, or if they are able to, you know, put some sounds together or put some words together, having them read a little bit to you and working with them on those things. But we really don't have a ton of homework. We have a long school day as it is. So we generally like to keep the homework nice and short. All right, and standards-based grading. So what is it? On your child's report card, you will not see an A or a B or C or a D. You will see a 3, a 2, or a 1. So basically, we use standards-based grading, and what that means is if your child's getting a 3, that means that they're proficient in whatever standard we're teaching. One of our math standards is, can your child count to 100 by the end of the year? So if your child can count to 100 by the end of the year, we say that they have a 3, they're able to do it, they meet the standard expectations. If they're almost there, like maybe they're able to count to 75 by the end of the year, then that would be a 2. So they either inconsistently meets expectations, or they're almost there but haven't quite got it yet. And then a 1 just means that they're not proficient, they can't do it yet. Maybe they're still only counting to 25 instead of the 100 where they need to be by the end of the year. As Mrs. Sevilla already mentioned, so our standards are the North Carolina standards. You can look those up. They're all online. If you really want to take a dive in to see what our standards are. But next year, when you get your child's teacher, if you ask them, you know, what your child is expected to know by the end of the year, any of us can tell you that for both math, reading, science, and social studies. Anything I left out there, Mrs. Sevilla? Okay.
No, that sounds good. So I saw a couple of questions about staggered entry. What do we expect the kids to know? Different things like that. We don't have any expectations. Whatever the kids know, we take them on, and that's our job as a teacher, is to help them learn and grow. Our job is to do the academics and to help them succeed. So we don't have any expectations. We just kind of go through for staggered entry, you know, what do they know? We just want to know where they are. Do they know their ABCs? Can they read any? Do they know sight words? Can they count? So it's just real basic. I didn't think that one got answered in the chat, so I wanted to say that really quickly. This is our successful students at TMSA slide. This is from kind of our central office and kind of what they look for. And those students that are going to be really successful at TMSA, these are the kind of qualities that they have. So there is a lot of independence. Kindergarten is a big year for learning independent skills, zipping their own coats. And Ms. Branch is going to talk about this later. Being able to do their whole worksheet by themselves, or go to their center, or read a book. So independence is a big thing in kindergarten, and something that we definitely promote here at our school. You do need to be motivated. So in order to do those things, you have to have motivation and a strong work ethic. We do have academic excellence and strength here at Triangle Math and Science. It is a math and science school, so we do have a pretty rigorous academic schedule. I don't know if we did this already, but kind of, if you look at our classroom compared to a Wake County classroom, you're not going to see necessarily all the play centers that a Wake County classroom might have. We don't have like a kitchen center or a dress up center. We'll have a lot of building centers. We love to do building. We love to do STEM activities, those kind of things, but they're not going to do as much of the other ones. It is more an academically driven school. We do have accelerated programs once your child gets to 4th grade and higher. We do the Leader in Me program. We're starting to implement that this year. So we have a lot of leadership abilities. And then we do have extracurricular activities. So I saw that in the questions as well. We have a lot of after school clubs that come, chess club, and there was a baking club and a robotics club, and all these different clubs that your child can do after school. So we do have a lot of those activities that they are. And then we do try to work on the college bound. Ready to go. Miss Branch. So this is kind of what our view of what we'd really like your kids to know before they come to kindergarten.
Hello, yes, I'm very passionate about this, so I can't wait to talk to you about this. Academic skills when entering kindergarten are all over the place, and no matter where your child is academically when they enter, like Ms. Sevilla said, we will meet their needs wherever they are. Lots of you had questions about AIG and academic being advanced. That is very common at our school. As they said, it's very driven academically, STEM-based, math-based. It's in the name. So it is very awesome, cool that we are driven that way, but there's a lot of other skills to go with that. So coming into kindergarten, it is very important that we have practiced going to the bathroom by ourselves. That'll let us do our teaching more efficiently if we're not having potty accidents. Zipping up their coats is a big one when it's cold like it is right now. We are mastering that right now, and it is making life so much easier. We went from like 10 minutes going outside, practicing zipping up, to like 3, so we're doing great. They should be able to open lunch bags and lunch boxes. If your child is going to preschool or if they are at home, regardless, a big tip would be pack their lunch like they are going to school and make them undo it, even if they're at home. They know how to follow directions. That's a big one. Having some structure at home, even if it's just a little bit, that'll help us as their teachers as well. They do have to sit and can pay attention to stories and lessons. The general rule of thumb that we learn as teachers is that they can pay attention for as old as they are. So they can pay attention for about 5 to 6 minutes, which that sounds like very little, but we can get a lot done in kindergarten in 5 minutes if we can hold their attention for that long. They know their first and last name. They might not know how to write their first and last name beautifully and perfect. That comes with time. Their hand muscles take a long time to develop, but they should know their name when it's called. They should also know their last name. When they write their name, they're expected to be capital letter first, lowercase following. Is very appropriate if they use all capitals, but if you get kind of in the habit of writing it appropriately with capital letter first and then lowercase, that helps big time. Counting, you can practice that in fun ways with your child. If they can count from 1 to 10 entering kindergarten, that is awesome. You can practice that starting, you've probably already started counting a little bit, but you can practice that counting shapes in the bathtub, on the way to Target, any place you can practice counting. I just count from 1 to 10 all the time. Basic shapes, circles, squares. Hexagon gets kind of crazy, but we do have to know that one in kindergarten. So basic shapes, if you have gotten any book that practices pre-kindergarten skills, shapes are in there. Any cartoon, shapes are in there. Can you tell a story using pictures? In kindergarten, we start by just using pictures to make a story. So if they can draw basic shapes in their pictures and then describe them to you, that is age appropriate. And then please practice with scissors and glue if they're not going to preschool. This gets pretty sticky, literally, if they've never practiced with glue before. So just put some glue in their hands and that will help us out. Glue sticks are wonderful. It prevents a lot of mess. So if you have glue sticks at home, allowing them to cut and paste simple items will really help us. If they're at preschool, they are already practicing this, so they're good. And then knowing the letters of the alphabet. This has always been a kindergarten skill. Knowing them pre-kindergarten really helps us go right down to the floor and start rolling with the letter sounds. So if they know those letters and they can name the letters, then we can take it off and they can start learning letter sounds and put them together to make words. And then they're reading by the end of the year. So that's what they need to know. I said a lot. I know you probably have questions. When you get into your kindergarten classroom with your child, you will learn all about the curricula. You will learn all about what they learn. And if you have any questions, we're going to open it up soon. And if you just Google what people need to know before, what kids need to know before kindergarten, you can find a plethora of information. So that's me. Thank you all.
All right, so as we said, kids do not need to know those things. We will take your child and we will work with them and teach them from wherever they are to wherever they need to be. Those are just kind of our helpful hints, because we always I still get that question all the time. What does my kid need to know before kindergarten, just as a teacher? And so those just are kind of our helpful hints. Like, these are the things we would really like to see. If they don't know it, that's okay. If they can count, and not read, that's okay. We'll get it all in there, not a big deal. So if you want to type some more questions in the chat, I've seen a couple in the Q&A if we haven't answered them. We do have a full EC program. Being a North Carolina school, we do have to have a full EC program. So if your child has an IEP, a 504, speech, or OT, that will all be incorporated when they get into kindergarten. We'll just need that paperwork and then we'll get it to our EC department. Once again, just as a reminder for some of these lottery questions, your child needs to be 5 years old by August 31st to enter a North Carolina kindergarten program. We really don't take kids that are early. I know a lot of people like to push them ahead. I have 2 boys and my son has a September birthday, and stay with them another year. You will miss it. He is 13 now and bigger than me. I was just at his basketball game, and keep him home, read to him, let them learn. They will be just fine when they enter kindergarten a little older. So 5 years old by August 31st. Again, you can do applications for TMSA Carry and TMSA Apex. It is 2 separate applications. One question I saw a lot on here was, if I get into TMSA Apex, but I really wanted TMSA Carry, can I switch? The answer is no. Whatever school, they are separate schools with a separate account. So we are not transferring students once you get in. You can reapply, but you will not be transferred over. So if you get into TMSA Apex, and that will be where your child is going, they're not switching the 2 over, okay? There is waiting lists. So they will take the first 100 students for TMSA Carry. They will take the first 100 students for TMSA Apex. After that, you will be put on a waiting list. So when you receive your email on February 15th on if your child got into one of the schools or if they are on the wait list, you have, I think it's 2 weeks to respond back and actually put in the full application. I know this seems like a lot of application, but there's more paperwork if you get in. So do the paperwork, and then we can open more spots. So if somebody gets in and they didn't want it, then the first person on the wait list, and it just goes down like that. So I say all summer long, they are constantly moving kids around and trying to get our numbers to where they need to be and people to find out they're moving and different things like that. So just because you don't get in February does not mean you will not get in August, okay? Be patient. That deadline is February 10th by midnight for both applications. The names will be drawn on February 14th, and then you will get an email. Oh, this says by February 14th at 5 p.m. I heard February 15th, but within that 24-hour period, you should receive an email as to where your child either got in or where they are on the wait list. Clubs options and bus options. So the clubs change every year. We have different outside vendors that come in and do the clubs. The typical ones are chess clubs, robotics, different things like that, but they change every year just depending on what vendors are coming into our school and what the kids want to see.
Mrs. Phillip, there's a lot of questions about siblings. I just wrote in the chat. So there is a possibility that if your kindergartner gets in, that their sibling, if you have an older student, will not get in. But once you do have a student enrolled at TMSA, then their sibling will be given priority for the next space. If that's correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The calendar year has not been set yet. Typically, we have an early August start date. It's usually like right around August 10th, but that has not been released yet by our central office. So it will be put on the website as soon as they release it. I saw another one that I was going to answer too. Oh, if you get into both schools. So if your child gets into both TMSA Apex and TMSA Carry, go play the lottery. That would be awesome. Like, great job. If they get accepted to both, yes, then you will have an option. But probably will be one or the other. But if you do, go play the lottery because you're lucky. So before and after school, we do not have any before school currently. Again, as we've said, everything in this presentation is very subject to change. Opening a new school, there's a lot of moving parts. So at this point, we do not have any before school. We do have after school, the clubs, and then we have a partnership with the YMCA. So currently the kids the YMCA bus comes to our school, picks up the kids and takes them to the YMCA, and then the parents pick them up from there. So again, that would be an outside, you work with the YMCA to figure that out. There are 20 students in every kindergarten classroom. The goal for next year is 5 kindergarten classes at each school, so 100 kindergartners will be accepted. The school timings, again, they have not released our start time and end time for next year. Currently, we start at 8 o'clock and teach till 2:45. That's when our day ends. So that's where we are currently, but we don't know for next year. TMSA Carey receives about 500 kindergarten applications every year. So we do have quite a wait list usually. But with TMSA Apex opening, you just never know. So the first 100 that are selected will start with any sibling. So if we have a current student at our school that is in 3rd grade and they have a kindergarten sibling, their sibling will be the first set on that 100. So any siblings that we have at TMSA Carey, their siblings are the first set of that 100. After that first 100, then it's just open to the lottery, you know, anything like that. So we will have at the new campus, TMSA Apex will have the high school. So TMSA Carey will become a K-8 building and TMSA Apex will be the K-12. So that will be the high school that our kids at TMSA Carey can go to as well, but you can choose any high school in Wake County or wherever you live. I'm trying to get to these, anything I missed.
There were some questions about curriculum. I think there was a misunderstanding. It's not just math and science based, especially in these lower grades, but once they reach some higher grades at TMSA, they will focus more heavily and they'll have the option to choose that. But we use a very similar structure in curricula to Wake County and other county schools. And I hope that answers that question. Still math, science, social studies, and reading. Reading is probably the heaviest in kindergarten just because they're learning to do that.
So I've seen a lot of questions about vaccine mandates and COVID protocols. We follow the CDC. So what the CDC tells us, and it is changing, it just changed again this week, those are the protocols that we follow for COVID. So currently, because of the CDC rules, we all wear masks. Teachers, students, administration, everybody wears a mask inside our building. They only take it off when they eat or drink water. CDC does not have a vaccine mandate at this time, so we do not have a vaccine mandate. Again, all of this, as you know, with COVID is very subject to change. So we're following what they do. So if you look up the CDC rules and guidelines for what a good school conduct does, that is what we are following. So, quarantines, days of exposure, testing, all of that is what our protocol is. So that would be where that information is. But that will change by next August. I guarantee we will be in a very different spot with COVID. Who knows what we'll be doing, but we will be following whatever the CDC says that. We do not have an AIG program. We have an accelerated program once they hit 4th grade. K through 3, there is no accelerated program. It is done within the classroom. So we have, we teach reading with reading groups. So we take those kids and we see where their reading levels are at, and we place them. So if your kid is just beginning reading, he's going to be placed with other beginning readers. If they're reading chapter books, then they'll be placed with other kids who are reading chapter books, and we differentiate within the classroom. So K through 3, no AIG, no advanced placement. Once you get to 4th grade, there is some advanced placement.
We do a lot of that differentiating. I know we talked about before, but we do a lot of that differentiating in small group. My small groups right now for reading range from students that just got their letter sounds to students that are reading paragraphs and paragraphs. That's when we really break it down in that small group time. I've got about 5 small group reading groups, and they're all doing something different. Same thing with math. I have kids who are adding and subtracting 2-digit numbers, and I've got some kids who are still working on within 10. But your students' needs will be met wherever they are through those small groups. So as Mrs. Sevilla said, so there's not an AIG program, but we do meet them where they are throughout the day.
Another question, there's no preference for geologically. If your child is closer to Cary, but they get into Apex, then your child will still be going to Apex. It's wherever they get in. We have a lot of diversity celebrations here at TMSA. That is one thing that I love about teaching here, is learning new skills and new cultures and different things. So we do a ton of that. We were talking about Diwali today again in the classroom, and my kids were telling me about the Rangoli and the sand paintings that they do and different things like that. So there's lots of diversity celebrated. Again, there's no vaccination mandate because the CDC does not have one. If they change to that, that will be probably where we're headed. But at this point, we do not have that. You can use the bus or carpool for picking up and taking home your kindergartners. We do not have any sports programs currently at K through 5. Once they get into the middle school and high school, then there are sports programs. I'm missing my son's basketball game right now, but I'm hoping he's doing really great. So we do have iPads and Chromebooks for all the classrooms. So your child will have the opportunity to be on technology. There is on the website, I think, a video of our school, or maybe it's in one of the presentations, but there's a video of our school, like one of the administrators walking through it and seeing the different parts. As of now, that's what we have available. We don't have any in-person at this time just because of COVID protocols. If that does change, I'm sure they'll let you know if you get in.
Oh, I saw uniforms. So students do need to wear uniforms. Elementary has a red polo shirt. Girls and boys both wear the red polo shirt, short sleeves or long sleeves. It has a little TMSA logo on the shirt. I think there's a couple, you can find more information about that on the website. There's places where you can get the shirts or order the shirts from. On the bottom, khaki colored pants or navy blue or black pants are fine. Shirts do not need to be tucked in. I think it's recommended that they do tuck them in, but we're 5 and 6 year olds, so our shirts don't stay tucked in all day. For shoes are just plain black, plain blue, nothing too fancy or crazy on your feet. It doesn't have to be like a traditional dress shoe. Sneakers are fine if they're, more all one color and solid. And sweaters are allowed in the classroom as long as it's, no hoodies are allowed.
That's about, so it's a uniform, but it's not as structured. It's more loose. Somebody asked about a fee. There's no fee for going here. It is a public school, so it is a free education. So we don't have any fees. The email about the educationally disadvantaged, that is for TMSA Apex. From my understanding, there still will be a lottery held, and I'm just not sure about the specifics of the educationally disadvantaged. But from what I understand, there still will be a lottery and a chance to get in for some students. There is no pre-K application. So if you have a pre-K, they need to go to a preschool or a pre-K program. We do not have that currently. So kindergarten, so they have to be 5 by August 31st to enter kindergarten. That is the North Carolina.
I was going to add to the uniform, somebody asked about hair. If you go onto the school website again, and I believe you can look at the handbook there, then it'll tell you about the school uniform if you want to look at it in more detail.
Currently, TMSA Apex is only holding their lottery for K through 5. If you have a 6th through 12th grader, they will apply at TMSA Cary. The high schoolers will be going to the Apex campus. They're just applying on the TMSA Cary webpage. That is very confusing. So 6 through 12 apply on the TMSA Cary website. K5 has the option.
Transportation is carpool that begins right after, and then buses are an option, but they are an additional fee, and that information is on the TMSA Carry website. And then clubs are an option as well, but those change year to year. There were lots of questions about that. We cannot give you a guaranteed club list, but we can say that there's a lot of fun ones. So if you do have to stay at work late, there's YMCA and clubs that are offered. YMCA is not on campus. They bring a bus, pick up students, and then bring them to the location.
I'm just looking at the lunch question. So students should bring their lunch with them in the morning when they come to school. If they forget their lunch, then lunches can be dropped off. But in the morning when they get their backpack and everything ready to go to school, they should bring their lunch with them.
Yes, all the clubs and YMCA do have extra charges. It's all done through the vendors. It's not done through our school. So you will get, if your child gets in, you will get the list of clubs and vendors, and you will contact them with pricing. We don't currently allow skipping grades. As I said, we have a pretty accelerated higher elementary and middle school and high school. And so usually we don't do skipping grades, but that's something we'd have to take case by case. My son, a mom, I have to talk about my kids. So my son is in the accelerated program. So he's currently in 7th grade and he's doing 9th grade math. It's not because he's a genius. I mean, I think he's a genius, but he's not a genius or anything. It's just because of the program at TMSA, and they prepared him for that. So every year from 4th grade, he's doubled up on his math. And so now he can do, high school level math in middle school. So we don't typically go ahead because that would be a lot. So we do currently not have a media room or library. There is not a cafeteria in either campus. All lunches are done in the classroom. Annual functions. We have, we've done them in the past. Usually they're just in the classroom. So we're right now planning for our 100th day celebration, our Valentine's Day celebration. We have a yearly parade where we put lights all around the school and the teachers dress up. So we have outside things like that. In the past, pre-COVID, we had a lot more different STEM nights and stuff like that, but we'll have to see. Post-COVID teaching is very different. So we'll have to see what that all allows. Sports again is starting in 6th grade.
There's no transportation after clubs unless you chose to carpool with another family.
So the 2 different campuses, I know that's very confusing, and it's very confusing to us all that it's going to look like. So if we can't answer those questions, I'm so sorry. You can definitely email this info@tmsaacademy.org. They can give you more information because we're opening a new campus. There's just a lot of things that we're still trying to figure out. So next year, what we know is this TMSA Carry will be a K-8 building. The TMSA Apex will be a K-5 building. And so if you have a kindergartner, which is what we're talking about tonight, you can apply at either one. So that's your application that you did through Power School on the TMSA Carry website and the TMSA Apex website. So everything else I would either, once your child gets enrolled, then, there'll be a lot more time for questions and you'll get to meet all the teachers and we can find out all the information together. Still being 6 months out from building, there's still a lot up in the air. We do have an administration structure. Elementary school has 2 deans, middle school has 2 deans, high school has 2 deans, and then we have a principal over all of it. Then the principal and the deans report to our central office, which is over all 4 of our schools. And then the central office reports to our school board, which is the one who does all the big picture.
I was just going to say, Chromebooks, tablets, we have those in the classroom. We do not have any that the students currently take home. So what we have in the classroom stays in the classroom, and students do use those throughout the day. We do not currently have any foreign language classes at the elementary level. I believe
So
there is a bus route towards Holly Springs.
Yeah, the bus routes you can see on the website. We have huge libraries in our classroom. We just do not have a separate library. So in my classroom, I have, I don't know how many hundreds of books that the kids can read. And we do have that time that they can do that. And then all the toys are educational. So we have building, we have so many different types of building activities. We have fidgets. If they need a fidget, that's available to them. So we have those kind of books and tools for learning in our classroom math. We have tons of manipulatives that we use, cubes and links and all those different things. So those are all within our classroom. They are not in a separate space. Any questions? Foreign languages started again in middle school. So you can take Spanish or German, and I think French are choices that we have, but we do not currently have them in a K-5 building. So those all start in middle school. Our middle school is fabulous. I don't think we do Arabic. We do sanitize the toys. We are in the state of North Carolina, so we have the fire marshal come a couple times a year, give us all our instructions of where sanitized wipes can be, what we need to do. So all of that, we follow the North Carolina rules for all that.
I got a question about, is TMSA a nut-free facility? It is not. You need to fill that information out in your paperwork, and then we will go on and look at it. And if there are any students in our classroom that have a nut allergy, Miss Powell is our nurse aide. She comes around, we put a sign on our door that our classroom will then be peanut and tree nut free, whatever the allergy is. But as a whole, the facility is not.
If you see that your child has submitted an application, that is all you need to do. They are applied, they are good to go. We'll see if they make it in the lottery. So if you have that number, if you have that application date and got the email, then you are good for whatever school you applied to. I don't know about seeing testing scores. I don't think that's on our website. That would have to be something you could maybe email the info. I'm not sure about our testing scores, if that's on the website or not. So again, the lottery is very tricky with siblings. So if I have a third grader that gets in, my kindergartner did not, the kindergartner will move up on the wait list since I have a sibling in. They do prioritize in the state of North Carolina, siblings and families going together. So it doesn't guarantee that both children will get in, but it moves them up on the wait list if one child gets in and one child doesn't. The colds and flus, we have all that in our handbook. Our handbook is on the website, so you can look through, you know, what is acceptable to come into school with, what you need to stay home with. All medicine is done by our school nurse. We do not handle any medicine in the classroom. I do not know how many siblings there are for this year because they haven't, we haven't said yet if we're going to the TMSA Carrier or TMSA Apex currently at our school. So that will be the first step to see how many of our students will go to TMSA Apex, and then we'll see siblings and different things like that. So we have a number of steps to get through before we will do that. Yes, there's 100 students in each grade level. No, currently no one is allowed in the school except for teachers and students. So you will be bringing them to the doorway, I think is what we did this year. And then the kindergarten classrooms are right by the playground. So if you just when we'll have it all set up for you. If your child makes it, the staggered entry letters will be coming this summer, and you'll see exactly where to drop them off, exactly what they need to bring, and how you will get them at the end of the day. Again, if those rules change for COVID, we'll definitely be doing that. The last day to apply is February 10th at midnight. The kids do have a playground that they go to every day for recess. The kindergartners get to go twice a day for about 20 to 30 minutes each time. And then we do have gym class once a week as well. We have a school nurse as well. That is all the questions I am seeing. The COVID protocols are by the CDC. They change weekly, they change daily. So come next August, I'm sure the CDC will give us a whole new guideline on COVID protocols, and that's what we will be following. If we have to go virtual, the CDC will tell us that's all out of our hands. So that's all, you know as much as I do at this point about where, if we'll be virtual, if we'll be in person, if we'll be vaccinated mandate, if we'll be a mask. That is time will tell. We've all taught virtually, and it actually went a lot better than the kids did great with it. So if we have to do that, we'll do it again. We'll do what we need to do to educate your child. The staggered entry is just for the first week of school. It's just to meet your child and kind of see where to place them. The wait lists do not carry over. They are new applications every year. You have to apply every year if you do not get in. Your child can only apply to first grade if they meet the age requirements or the state requirements for having passed kindergarten.
The wait list, you need to reapply every year, right?
Yep. It starts again every year. There is an option to apply at both locations. You have to do it separately though. So you apply at TMSA Cary and TMSA Apex. We have music class once a week as well. It's one of our specials: gym, music, art, STEM, and technology. I was trying to remember the other one.
There are no sports, but we promise they get activity in all day.
Do older and younger students get to interact? They do. I have a high school helper that comes in every afternoon and helps with my math centers. So they do get to see them in the hallways. The kids love seeing some of the older students and different things like that. But we stay our 6 feet apart and wave quietly to them. We do not give laptops to all the kids. We have iPads and Chromebooks in our classroom, and when we need to use them, they pull them out, but they will stay in our classrooms. If you have a specific question about where your child should be placed, that would be a great question to ask the info, case-by-case basis on some of those. The CDC says that teacher vaccines are optional. So we go again for COVID, all the CDC guidelines. Yes, we do. We have weekly emails and letters that go out to our parents to tell them what's coming up in the week. The school sends out weekly emails as well. We have a newsletter, so you will have lots of information about all that is happening in our school.
We have kindergarten. We do a newsletter, a weekly newsletter that'll tell you exactly, what sight words we're doing, what book we're reading, what we're covering in science and social studies, what the homework is for the week. So you will see that weekly. We right now we're currently using Class Dojo for that. So we post it every week to Class Dojo. So you just get on there and then you can see exactly what we're doing for the week.
Our teachers are, we all have North Carolina State K-6 elementary education teacher's license. The parents are very involved at TMSA this year, not as much as other years, unfortunately, but our parents are great. We have a PTO. Parents are constantly sending in stuff this year since they can't volunteer as much, but we do have volunteers that do lunch and recess for us. So yes, parents are very involved and we love all the help. We do not have honor roll in kindergarten. That is a 4th and higher. The homework kindergarten has one sheet of math that they do, I don't know, 5 or 6 problems on a night, and it's just basic It's one sheet for the whole week. So each night there's probably 5 or 6 problems, not very, won't take them too long. And then we do encourage nightly reading, either you reading to your child or your child, once they can start reading to you as well. So that is such a big part of kindergarten. There is no requirement for parents to volunteer. It's just out of the greatness of your heart.
We do not have any security officers at our school.
All right, it is getting to be 7 o'clock, so we are going to close this down. Thank you so much for joining us and coming. We hope that this answers some of your questions. If you have any other questions, info@tmsaacademy.org. Definitely go to the website. It has lots and lots of information there to help you with your questions. And I hope that your kids get picked for the lottery and that we get to see you sometime next year. Otherwise, have a great night. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
everybody.